If today you take a piece of a coal and a diamond and you look at them, they do not differ in the substance. Both are made from the carbon itself. The atoms and molecules, both are same, the coal and diamond. But the difference lies in only in the arrangement of the molecules of carbon. The coal has amorphous, or maybe you can say loosely bounded structure of carbon. And the diamond, on the other hand, has tightly packed crystalline, a very definite structure of carbon. Both are made from the carbon itself. But they only differ in the architecture of the substance, which makes coals, appears dull, fragile, and easily breakable. And for the diamond, it makes transparent, radiant, and hardest known natural substance known to man. And as for the man, you, I, and us, we have all the same consciousness, but different architecture of the mind, the different rearrangement of the mind. So let's take a pause for a moment. And now look at one of the most ancient voices. In the book of Chandogya Upanishad in Indian scriptures, in the 6th chapter, Udlaka, a father instructs his son with an image so simple that it seems almost too obvious. The name of the son was Swetaketu. So he said, the father, just as my dear, by knowing one lump of clay, all that is made of clay is known. The distinctions are only in names, mere words. In reality, only clay is true. That was in Chandogya Upanishad. 6th chapter, 1st section, 4th verse. Just as my dear, by knowing one lump of clay, all that is made of clay is known. The distinctions are only in names, mere words. In reality, only clay is true. On the surface, it reads as a lesson about a matter. But beneath it, the sage, the father, was pointing towards the structure of mind itself. The Upanishads in Indian scriptures are not just mystical poetry. They are clear insights to the very nature of mind and the reality itself. What an interesting observation. The jar, the cup, the statue, the little toys made of clay, each seems unique, carries its own label that this is a toy. It is a statue. No, it's a jar. It's a cup. Yet the moment you touch them, what are you actually touching? Not the pot or the statue. No, you are touching only the clay. The forms are temporary and the substance remains unchanged. Now think of this in the terms of mind's architecture. The surface level of your mind is filled with the countless shapes and names, your memories, your self-definitions, your fear, your assumptions, your dreams. These are like just the pots, cups, and maybe statue. They look different. They seem to separate you from the others, but these are only appearances. Beneath them is the clay, the undivided ground of your own consciousness. And for the man, you, I, or maybe us, we have all the same consciousness, but different architecture of the mind, the different rearrangement of the mind. So, when you look around yourself, you see this man, you see that man, all man, they all have the same consciousness, but different architecture of the mind. The mind of wealthy man is not at all different from the mind of a man who's fighting for the daily bread. Not a single bit. Their exact mind, exactly the same, but having different architecture of the mind. The different architecture of the same mind. I was once, when I was a kid, not maybe a kid, a 15, 16-year-old, a lad, me and my friend, and particularly I, had decided, we should go to a friend's house. Well, I didn't know this particular friend, but we decided to go. This is exactly what the people of that age, in the teenagers, used to do. Explore, explore, and explore. This is the memory which I had quite forgotten, which came to my mind just now, believe it or not. So we have decided to go to a very particular friend's house. So we rode in the bicycles and we went along. It was a long journey, 5 to 6 kilometer journey. Suddenly this friend with whom I was riding said, "Stop. Here it comes. You see up there? There's the house." And it was the very first time I came so close to the concept of living home called apartment. I mean, looked up and it was fascinating as in the movies, the skyscrapers. But in reality, well, I say very tall structure they were. So we went there and we had a good time. And that particular friend's mother cooked us very good food. Well, I was impressed by the welcoming of the mother of my friends. When I was in the apartment itself, I didn't feel like it that I was feet and maybe meters and meters high from the ground. No. It looked like absolutely normal when I was there in the apartment unit. Like living in some kind of a land-based house. I was living on the land itself. And as soon as our time was over, we were playing in the balcony itself, and out of nowhere, the ball with which we are playing fell to the adjacent neighbors who was just in the diagonal opposite apartment unit into his balcony. So it was basically one in the diagonal balcony, and we decided to go to that apartment. And as soon as the gate opens, when we knocked on the door, the room, the house, the whole house looked gloomy. Felt like someone sucked the childlike happiness from me. And it hardly took 2 minutes tops to get to the ball. But those 2 minutes I can't forget. Which makes sense now. You see, all the so-called houses or the apartments units that are made in the same way, exactly same way. It was in the same building. That's how the architecture of the building works. All the apartment units have the same internal structure. And the apartment in which we went to get the ball has the same structure, but it felt gloomy, to be honest. It felt depressing, and it was no different from the apartment that this particular friend of mine had. It was such a wonderful and lovely and lively apartment. The structure of the apartments had no difference whatsoever. Same walls, same divisions, same room height, same balcony size, and everything was same, but the environment was completely different. And when we were coming down from the apartment buildings, I started looking into these individual units. As soon as we started to go down through the stairs, I was trying to peek in because there was a lot of doors open. It was a summer, so people usually leave their doors open for the cross ventilation. So I was moving like a peeping Tom and looking into different apartments, and I was completely fascinated by it. They had the same structure but different architecture of what's inside the apartment, which ultimately gave me the complete different experiences in each one of them. Each and every unit in the apartment had different stories, which I can definitely get by just looking at the architecture of the inner furniture. And that's just human mind. We have all the same mind, but different architecture of it. If someone today with no criminal history whatsoever decides to steal something and he goes about getting himself caught, the same person would repent. I wish I didn't steal it. But alas, I made a mistake. He would repent on the action itself. But when a seasoned thief, when a professional thief on getting caught, he would say, I wish I didn't stole at this time of the day. I wish I had chosen some different time. Repenting on the act. So you see, that's the difference in the architecture of the same mind. While one who was completely normal person on getting caught when he was trying to steal something for the very first time, he's apologizing to himself to even get into that sector of his life, of thieving. But when a professional seasoned thief is getting caught, he's repenting on the fact, I wish I have chosen some different time. And that's a basic rearrangement or restructuring or different architecture of the same mind. There is not one mind for the thief and another for the man whose house he robs. No, it is the same mind, the same imagination, but built differently inside. The thief has constructed himself a narrow hallway of lack, where every door opens to the thought of taking and thieving. The man whose house he enters has rearranged his own chambers to include the possibility of getting robbed. There's no difference, but different architecture of the same mind. Both are architects of the one eternal substance, designing two different dwellings within the same infinite mind. Just like living in some kind of apartment buildings. If you're living in one, you know what I mean. The same is true for the priest. The same is true for the priest who lifts his hand to bless you, my son. And the worshipper who bows to the same priest, bows his head in the front of the same priest to get the blessing. There's no difference. They are not operating from two different separate sources. It is one life, one current. Yet the priest has built an altar within himself and the worshipper a pew. One assumes authority to bestow others the blessings, and while the other assumes the need to receive it. Yet both are only positioned within the same undivided mind, but different architecture. You can also look at the rich man or the poor man. The difference them is not in the mind, but the difference lies in the architecture of the mind, the architecture of the thought that they have accepted about themselves. The rich man has laid his foundation in the assumptions of plentiness, in the abundance. And from that base rises the structure of abundance for that particular rich man. Whereas the poor man has built the ground of, I'm not having enough. No, I'm poor. I'm worthless. So his inner house is furnished with the lack. Same substance, but different design. Same mind, but different architecture. The soldier, the prisoner, they share the same mind. But one has built his inner world on the scaffolding of strength, on protecting his country, while the other, on the other hand, the other has bars of confinement within him. The teacher and the student share the same mind, yet one stands in the confidence of knowing while other sits in the belief that he does not know yet. The same mind, the substance is same, but the architecture is different. Even the oppressor and the person who's getting oppressed draws the same well of imagination, but one builds a palace of control while other a cell of submission. But the water is no different. So when we speak of transformation, when I speak of a transformation, when you speak of a transformation, we do not mean a new mind must be given to you. No. You always had it. What must change is the structure you have raised within it. Just like apartment units. I saw approximately 20, 30, maybe 40 different apartment units. And each different unit told me a different story. They had the same structure, but different rearrangement what's inside of it. And the story has the origination not in the structure, but the different architecture what's inside of the structure. And that's the difference between me, you, and you can pick any person of this world. We have the same mind, but different architecture. So again, when we speak of a transformation, when you speak of a transformation, when I speak of a transformation, I particularly do not mean a new mind must be given to you. No, you always had it. What must change is the structure that you have raised within it. Tear down the walls that you have built for the fear. Rebuild on the foundation of your own assumption that you must choose. The very same mind becomes a palace instead of prison, the temple instead of den of thieves. It's just about the same mind. The mind is not a passive container. No, it's not a passive container. It's a builder. It's always constructing, always rearranging, always shaping the world you live in. Whether you are aware it or not, you have already built a life that currently you're standing in. And if you want to see something new tomorrow, It is not the outer wall that must be torn down, but the inner rearrangement of the structure of the same mind that must be restructured. You know, if I can talk from a practical experience, every life carries a blueprint. Not one written on the paper, no. That's not I'm particularly talking about, no. But one silently etched in your own imagination, your reactions, your assumption about your life, your repeated inner dialogue to yourself only. These are the bricks of your own blueprint. The state of being is the cement that holds them together. Think of a man who believes he's overlooked, who's completely unworthy, who's small and puny and petty. He may study harder than anyone else in his classroom, maybe in his batch, in his world only. He may push himself tirelessly to the end of the day. But until the inner architecture shift, his world will continue to echo his self-concept. He will meet neglect, the dismissal, the rejection, and he will say, this is life, What can I do? It is what it is. And this is the exact concept and construction I'm talking about. The blueprint is not fixed, not at all. You're free to redraw it. You look at your life. What do you want from your life? You're free to redraw it. But redrawing requires something deeper than a wishful thinking. Something deeper than begging to the outside world. It requires entering into the silence and asking what I am assuming to be true about myself right now. You hear that? What I am assuming to be true about myself right now. If I can share you a story. I once worked with someone who believed every opportunity was slipping away, was in constant pressure. He told me, Avi, I missed the boat, I guess. And throughout my experience of my time with him, I've heard this sentence 1,000 times. I've missed the boat, I guess. And he carried the stories for years and years. He thought the issue was bad timing, maybe wrong choices that he took, the unlucky circumstances. But in truth, the issue was architectural. He had built a mind that could only be seen, who already always seen the same boat that he had missed. He had built a mind that could only see closed doors and nothing else. And when I was spending my time with him, he knew my teaching. What's my stance towards life? We worked not on his resume, to be honest. Not on his external strategy, but on his self-concept. What he thinks about himself. Who are you when you're no longer taking a call and you're no longer calling yourself a late person? The unlucky, the behind one. Who are you when you dare to say life rises to meet me where I am? And he continuously dwelled in that particular state. He changed his architecture of his own mind. And within months, opportunity begins to appear. Not because the world suddenly grew generous towards him, no. But because the structure of his mind no longer filtered the life through lack. Same mind, different architecture. The man is not transformed by acquiring new substance, no. But by reordering what already is. The coal and diamond are both carbons. One lies brittle and dull, and the other radiant and enduring. The difference is only in arrangement, not in the essence. We have the same mind but different architecture of the mind itself. A pot may appear different from the vase, yet both are clay. A wave may appear distinct, yet both are of ocean. A grain of salt might dissolve in the water, but it remains in the water itself. Their substance has not changed, only the form. So it is with all the names and form itself, but they are the different arrangement of the same essence, of the same mind. So when we speak of transformation, we do not mean new mind must be given to you. No, you always had it. You always had it. What must change is the structure that you have raised within that mind. tear down the wall of that you have built maybe for the fears. Rebuild on the foundation of your own assumption that you want to experience in this world. And the very same mind becomes a palace instead of prison, the temple instead of a den of thieves. Or can you imagine one thing? Just imagine. Imagine you're walking in a hall full of mirrors, 1,000 mirrors. At first you might laugh at the strangeness of seeing yourself multiplied 100, maybe 1,000 times over. It's a room or maybe a hall full of mirrors. Every angle show back to yourself only. You're seeing yourself amplified 10,000 times maybe. If you smile, every wall lights up with your smile itself. And if you become angry, suddenly you're surrounded by the angry faces staring back at you. Now here, let me tell you this point. Here, it is what we often so miss. Mirrors are not choosing. They are not punishing you or rewarding you. They are simply returning faithfully what stands before them. Nothing more than that. The reflections have no will of their own. They are bound to reveal only what you bring into their presence itself. And that is you. And the life is just like this. Just like the hall of mirror. The people you meet, the circumstances that you call fate, the coincidences that you think just happens, they are not deciding against you or for you. They are only reflecting the architecture of your own mind to yourself only. You hear that? Yet what we notice, what we do, we spend hours cursing the mirrors. We argue with them. We try to polish the glass. Or maybe worse, we move one mirror to another, hoping for maybe some kind of a kinder mirror. But no matter where you turn, the face you carry is the face you will meet. The only place of change is not out there. No, it is here. With the original face. Change that and the entire hall full of mirror must change, and it cannot resist you. Because it is only reflecting, it is only being faithful to what your face is having. And this is what makes this teaching that I'm teaching on this podcast so profound. And at the same time so humbling itself. Because it simply means there are no enemy outside of you. No. There is no unfair mirror plotting to distort your reflection. No, not at all. It also means there is no savior outside of you who will suddenly make a glass who will save you from some kind of a destruction. No. The power is and always has been in you. In the posture that you hold within yourself, in the expression you choose to wear, in the secret place of your own mind. And just like in the mirror hall, where one smile shifts 100 or maybe thousands of reflection at once, a single inner change rearranges the entire world. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's what I'm teaching people. And yet we have been told thousands of times in the scriptures, the mind is the greatest enemy and the best of the friend. So tomorrow you tell a man that the world he lives in is nothing but his own mind made visible, and he will look at you as if you have spoken some kind of a madness. He will laugh on you. He cannot believe it. To him, reality is solid, fixed, and outside of him. His neighbor's cruelty is his neighbor's problem, not his. His lack of opportunity is the fault of the society. He'll blame out of the society. Pardon me. His unhappiness is because someone else failed him. He sees 1,000 causes all scattered around the world, and not even maybe 10,000 years, never once suspects that the cause living inside of him. So what does he do? He spends his years trying to rearrange the mirrors. He quarrels with the people. He changes job. He shifted cities. He will try to shift his states and maybe cities. He particularly even will change the partners, the loving ones. And yet, after every change, he meets the exact same story, wearing the same new mask. For he has never touched the origin. He has already trying to change the world, but it is all within. He has never dared to alter the assumption from which all this is progeniting. The tragedy is not that life resists him. No. The tragedy is simple and very, very simple. That the life he obeys, the life he lives, life is ultimately obeying himself too perfectly. Every assumption he holds of himself, whether in some kind of a pride or maybe in shame, the world must echo it back. But he does not see the echo. What he thinks, he's hearing the voice foreign to him, but it is all within him. So he keeps hammering on the reflections. He cries, why won't they change? Why this person don't change? Why they won't understand me? Why they simply do not give me what I deserve? And all at a while, at one place of power, his own mind is left untouched. He's barking up the wrong tree. And if I have to tell him the world is you pushed out, it feels like an insult to his struggles. He'll feel a strong insult, a burning sensation in his heart. Yet it is the only mercy because it restores his power completely. For if it is truly others who must change, then he is forever at their mercy itself. But if it is his own inner arrangement of his mind that paints the outer picture in the world, then the freedom is as near as his next assumption that he will assume. Yet the man does not believe. Not because it is too difficult, but because it is too simple. He does not believe because it is too simple. He wants to elaborate rituals, some kind of a rituals, grand interventions, maybe some kind of a grand interventions from maybe God itself, divine signs written in the sky. He does not want to believe that the whisper he holds in himself about himself is the privacy of his heart has already set the stage for the tomorrow. And this is why the today's man, remains bounded. Not because the truth is hidden, no, but because it is too near. It is too intimate. It is too ordinary to be recognized because it is too simple. But the man has grown habitual to the grandiose of the worldly scriptures. Grandiose to all the different kind of ceremonies of the world. But the answer is so simple. It is within. So right now, if you have a desire, we all have a desire. It's perfectly alright. If you have a desire, any desire that you have, understand what it really means to you. A desire is not a torment sent back to mock you. No. It is not the universe dangling the prize out of the reach in front of your eyes. No. A desire is the echo of possibility that already exists. It is the life within you asking to be recognized in some kind of a form. And yet the moment that desire rises, what the people mostly do? They look outside. They measure their bank balance. They calculate their obstacles. Like, this is going to be my very first problem. They weigh the opinions of others. Are you kidding me? And if the world seems against them, they conclude the desire that they have is completely impossible. But this is the greatest error of the human. For desire is not fulfilled by adjusting the world. No, desire is fulfilled by adjusting the inner structure of the mind, the inner architecture of the mind. Think of it. When a man dreams of a house, a perfectly good house, the house does not appear because the bricks have magically moved themselves. No, the house appears because within him, the arrangement of thought, the certainty, the inner posture has changed. He no longer stands as the man who longs for a house, who begs for a house. No, he quietly becomes the man who lives in one. And from that particular shift, the visible arrangement follows. The same is true for love. You do not find love by chasing 1,000 faces or maybe begging others to give you what you lack. No, you find love when you find love within yourself. You assume I'm already chosen, I'm already wanted, and I'm already loved. That assumption, though invisible, reorders the entire atmosphere around you. The strangers feels it. The people around you feels it. Without knowing why. The circumstances bend themselves to meet it. And what about wealth? Wealth is not a coin and figures. No, wealth is consciousness of it. The man who assumes lack will never keep abundance. Even if the fortune is handed to him, he'll waste it. But the man who assumes wealth, who inwardly arranges himself as the one who has already had enough, cannot remain poor. For his mind draws supplies, just as a magnet does. So here is the profound truth. Every situation rises against you when you reach at this moment of your life. Do not waste yourself fighting the reflection of the world. No, the world is the only mirror. If you curse the mirror, the reflection remains. But if you strike the mirror, the image still does not change. You must change the face that stands before it. And how do you change it? By entertaining a very mere simple assumption of your wish fulfilled. By daring in the secrecy of your own mind. You see yourself as already in the possession of what you seek. Not as a fantasy, not as a daydream, but as a quiet factor of your own being. You must completely restructure the inner arrangement of your own mind. It is like a coal and diamond. Both are carbon. Both of one substance, yet one is dull and fragile, and other is radiant and unbreakable. The difference is not in the material, but in the arrangement of the material itself. So to the poor man, and maybe some kind of a rich man or wealthy man, the lonely and the loved one, the obscure and the celebrated one, they all are the same mind, the same essence. The only difference is the only arrangement, the architecture within the mind itself. So when you hold to this, when you refuse to measure by the outer world and instead return again and again to the inner structure that you are building, then the world, though it may seem like it is resisting at first, has no choice but to follow. For it has been always be your shadow. It has already and always and continue to do so, to be your shadow. So if you have a desire, a house, a love, maybe fortune, or simply a peace of mind to begin with, you do not begin with the world, you begin with yourself. Rebuild the architecture of thought, the posture of assumption, the conviction of your own being. For that is the only place where the desire is born. And the only place where it can be fulfilled. It's not outside, it's within. So I've been recently reminded of a concept of Maya. In Indian scripture, Maya, in English you can say it, illusion. When Indian scripture speaks of Maya, most people think it is speaking of money, or maybe worldly temptation, or the pleasures of the world. They imagine Maya, or maybe illusion, some kind of a gold, or wealth, or maybe some kind of a glitter that distracts. But that is not. It is not at all. The sages of the ancient time were speaking of something much more deeper. Maya is not money. Maya is the world of fact. It is the condition that stares you in the face and convinces you this is final. It is the diagnosis paper given to you, the rejection letter in your hand, the empty bank account on your screen. It is the world of appearance that seems solid, unshakable and unquestionable. But the scripture calls it Maya. Because it deceives. Not because it does not exist, but because it hides the real truth source. It lures you into believing that this is seen to be the real origination. But the real origination is within myself, within yourself, within ourselves. It's not outside of you. When in truth, when it seems that the only shadow of what is held within, the world is the only shadow of what is held within. And this is the most profound error man keeps making. He bows before the fact. He fears the condition. He makes the shadow for the substance. And in that moment, he is under the spell of Maya. The truth is simpler and yet harder. The truth that the outer world is not the reality itself. It is the reflection. What real lies is within you. The architecture of your own mind, the state that you occupy, and the assumption you dare to hold. That is the ground of your own being, and that is the Satya. That is the truth. Maya is not here to condemn you. No, it is here to test you. It asks, will you believe me? The appearances, or will you believe the unseen truth within yourself? To live by fact is to live bounded, and to live by truth is to live free. So do not mistake Maya for riches and desires. Maya is the spell of believing that what your senses are currently reporting is the ultimate fact of your life. The liberation comes not by fleeing the world, but by recognizing the world for what it is. Your own imagination, your own mind pushed out, your own assumption pushed out. We all have the same mind, but different architecture of it. The sages said, Brahman alone is real. The world is appearance. The whole world is you pushed out. These are two different tongues, the same revelation. The facts before your eyes are not the truth. The truth is within you. There was an incident in my life, not in my personal life. I was in the corporate world. I've just reminded of this fact. There was a very young woman who used to work as my junior in the corporate world in my time. And behind her smile, she carried a silent heaviness. Her parents had not been on the speaking terms for nearly approximately, you can say, 5 or maybe 4 years. Not a dinner together, not even a single simplest moment of sitting side by side. And for her, the atmosphere at the home was just so tense, it was completely fractured. One evening, she shared her burden with me. Well, she knew me. She knew what I speak, what I teach. So she shared her burden with me, and most would have told her to wait, to talk it out with the parents, to resign herself to the reality of the situation. But I told her something completely unreasonable and entirely different. I told her that she did not need to change her parents, nor fight with the circumstances, not beg for the harmony. She only needs to change the architecture of her own mind. She took the advice. On her way home that day, while sitting quietly on the bus, she began to take the advice right to her heart, instead of repeating the old story of division between her parents. She entered a new conversation and gently began to tell herself, all is well at my home. Love flows again. Peace has returned. She did not plead. She did not force. She simply assumed it to be so. That all is loved. All is well at home. Love flows again and peace has returned. And here is what shook her. The very next day she came to me very astonished. Her father, who stayed away for years and years, walked into the homes and sat right beside her mother, as though no years had even passed. A picture she thought was impossible was a scene she longed for but was never dared to hope to see, folded right before her eyes effortlessly. Can you believe it? Years of silence dissolved in just a moment, not by effort, not by persuasion, but by simple shift in her own architecture of the mind. And this is the exact secret so few grasp. We think of a life as some kind of a stone wall, needing years of hammering and hammering and hammering just to change. But life is not a stone, it is a clay. And the hands that shape it are the assumption within us. One quiet bus ride, one inner moment, one act of daring to see differently, and what was broken for a half a decade becomes whole again for her. Can you believe it? Do you see the pattern? The world bends not when you fight with it, no, but when you alter the structure of your own inner world and your own inner mind. And once you change within, the outer has no choice but to mirror it. So, in this podcast, before our departure from this particular podcast to the next one, I may repeat. If today you take a piece of a coal and a diamond and you look at them, they do not differ in substance, no. They are made from the same substance called carbon. The same atoms and molecules, both are same. But the difference lies only in the arrangement of the molecules of carbon. The coal has amorphous, or maybe you can say loosely bound structure of carbon, whereas the diamond has tightly packed crystalline, very definite arrangement of carbon. Both are made from the carbon itself, but they only differ in the architecture of the substance itself, which makes coal appear dull, fragile, easily breakable. And for the diamond, it makes transparent, radiant, and hardest known natural substance. And as for the man, you, I, and us, we all have the same consciousness, but different architecture of the mind, the different rearrangement of the mind.